It seems some skeletons have been found in the cupboard of the Efcc chairman. I'm talking about Magu, as he was arrested, interrogated, and detained. Of course, it's another edition of Bystanders at Newsstands on Flip TV. 7th of July, right here, and we are the Newsstand in Ogba, in the city of Lagos State. Let's quickly review what we have on these journals. We have 3 journals at the Newsstand: The Punch, The Nation, and the Vanguard newspaper. Okay. EFCC's Magu DSS in arrest, interrogation drama. EFCC's Magu, that's the acting chairman of the EFCC. DSS in arrest, interrogation drama. Moving on to the rider of this journal, Magu blocked in traffic, giving invitation to appear before panel. We didn't arrest him, says DSS. Panel grills Magu at presidential villa over alleged infractions. On to the next one, which is still on same subject. Talking about Magu. EFCC chair, Magu detained. EFCC chairman, Magu detained. On to the next one. Still on the same story. Presidential panel quizzes Magu for 6 hours over 24 allegations. Presidential panel quizzes Magu for 6 hours over 24 allegations. Let's see another story here. 774,000 jobs. Only NDE will recruit, says Lawan. On 774,000 jobs, only NDE will recruit, says Lawan. On to the next one on COVID-19. Flight resumption. Federal government constitutes COVID-19 protocols enforcement team. Federal government constitutes COVID-19 protocols enforcement team. All right, these are the top stories we have on the front pages of these 3 journals. Let's quickly join our reviewers for more analysis. I'll be right back.
In 1972, Alade Market was built, a prestigious market to meet varieties of clothing and household items. 34 years later, it was very necessary to rebuild this market. By 2016, the market was demolished. A temporary site was built for the construction of a new Alade shopping complex. Today, we announce the commencement of the construction of the new Alade shopping complex, situated on the same Allen Avenue, Ikeja. It's an 8 block of 42 shops, a total of 336 shops, in a conducive environment, enough car park, and all services attendant. The sizes of the shops are from 12 square meters to 60 square meters, located at the corner piece of Allen Avenue Junction. The ground shop rent goes for 75,000 naira per square meter, while the first floor rent goes for 50,000 naira per square meter. Early subscribers enjoy a 30% discount under the fixed rental income investment, while later subscribers enjoy an instrumental payment payable within 12 months.
Looking at the situation of Magu, I think it's worrisome when the arrestee have been arrested. You see, in a way, the former Senate president, in the person of Dr. Bukala Saraki, have been vindicated. Because we all saw the criticism that trade his refusal to confirm Magu as the substantive chairman of EFCC when he held sway as the leader of the National Assembly in the 8th Senate. People who are supporters of, who are proponents of Mr. President, were calling for his head. But with the current scenario, with the current situation, I think the man is being vindicated. It implies that there may be some things that the leadership of the 8th Senate is privy to, that the executive is not aware of, that they are recently getting aware of now. Because ordinarily, why should the henchman in the fight against corruption being interrogated? You see, the way it is now, personally, before now, I've doubted the sincerity of any Nigerian government to fight corruption. Not just this government, but whether Jonathan, whether Obasanjo, name it. I've not seen any government that have that sincere, genuine intention to fight corruption. Because all I've been seeing is victimization. Fighting people who are against you. Now, perhaps this is an avenue for Mr. President to redeem his image. Because his image has been seriously battered. Look at so many persons who are supposed to be under prosecution walking freely on the streets. And you are telling me you are fighting corruption. We cannot stop citing instances like the sacked Secretary to Federal Government in the person of Babachi Lawa, who at a time the Senate insisted that he must be sacked. They considered a panel of inquiry, indicted him. It took the consistent and conscious effort of the Senate to make the executive realize that this man needs to be sacked. It got to a point where the executive had no option. They ended up investigating the guy, and in fact there was a panel of inquiry instituted by the executive headed by the vice president of the Federation of Nigeria in the person of Osibanjo, and they consequently indicted the man, and the man was fired on the strength of the indictment. Now, one thought that after firing him, the needful thing to do was to subject him to litigation, was to prosecute him, so that a court of competent jurisdiction will pronounce him either guilty or otherwise. But as we speak today, there is no conscious effort. There have not been conscious effort from the federal government to dock Babachi Lawa. So it gives one the tendency to doubt the sincerity of this government in the fight against corruption. Now, looking at Magu, who is seen as a no-nonsense man, personality, when it comes to anti-corruption fight, being questioned, to an extent, I think it is going to give the presidency some level of credibility. Because if he can be that bold and sincere to question his henchman in the fight against corruption, it means to an extent I begin to see some light in his government. Because if Magu is eventually, but the area I did not like what transpired yesterday was in the area where the bad press from covering what transpired. I think transparency is necessary in the fight against corruption. A situation where you invite the man for questioning, he was questioned, and press was barred from covering it. It's not healthy for our democracy. They would have allowed press to cover it so that the public would be availed of what transpired. Because, take it or you leave it, if all the things we saw in the press of newspaper yesterday is anything to go by, the man is alleged to have been corrupt. So if he is alleged to have been corrupt, because we read that he was questioned, though DSS denied that he was not arrested. Whether he was arrested or not is not the issue. The issue is that he was interrogated.
And was detained.
He may not have been detained because perhaps the interrogation lasted for hours. So perhaps, yes, he must have been with them while the interrogation lasted. What I'm saying is that it is still at the realm of allegation. But be that as it may, the press would have been privy to what transpired, so that by this morning the public would have known what actually happened. Because we can, if you do things and keep the public in abeyance, in suspense, you give room for speculation. Because I tell you that going forward, if they do not avail the public of what actually transpired, we are going to be seeing series of speculation. News, whether call it fake or otherwise, will be flying here and there, suggesting what may have transpired. Now, I think there's a need for the government, whether this government or any government that is to come in Nigeria, to face corruption headlong. Because except this government will redeem its image from this moment, up to now, I have not seen that seriousness of this government to fight corruption. It doesn't, the issue did not end with Babachi Lawa. There are other instances we can cite. The most recent one is the one that involved those IG special squad that were extrajudiciously killed by supposed Nigerian army. And it is worrisome that after federal government instituted a panel of inquiry, an investigative panel that was midwifed by a committee that was set up by the Chief of Defence Staff. And some persons were indicted. A captain of in Nigerian army was indicted, and about 9 other soldiers. But up to now, I have not seen any conscious effort from the government to investigate them, to charge them to court. But the worrisome angle of it is that recently, the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, in the presence of Malami, took over the case and charged the matter to court, excluding the military personalities involved. Now, the question is this. Mr. President may claim not to be in the know. And from the claim of the Attorney General of the Federation, that since the military authority have not released his personnel for prosecution, that they needed not to keep other people waiting in abeyance, that they needed to proceed with the case. And I ask a question. As the Chief Justice of the Federation, who have unlimited access to Mr. President, knowing that Mr. President is the commander of the armed forces of Nigeria, what stops him from writing a memo to Mr. President that look at this arm of your government, refuse to hand over so and so for prosecution? And I believe, and I tell you, it's not only I believe, it is the real thing. If Mr. President gives directive to Nigerian Military High Command, they will carry out the order with the speed of light. So if up to now, the Attorney General of the Federation is still hiding under that illusion that the military refused or have not complied or have not released his personnel for prosecution, that is the reason he's going ahead with his prosecution, exonerating the military personnel who are involved, I think it's a slap on the face of Nigerians. And I think it's a disservice to those Nigerian police personnel who were extrajudiciously killed. Then to tell you another issue, because personally I hate injustice. I don't like injustice. Look at this shite movement. I am not a supporter of shite movements, but I hate injustice. We saw the drama that played out when they tried to block the Chief of Army Staff in Zaria. And after the whole scenario, the Kaduna state government set up a panel of inquiry to investigate what actually transpired. It worries one when the secretary of Kaduna state government came to that panel to say that he counted 347 corpses while they were doing interment in the cemetery. And Amnesty International have repeatedly raised this issue. Nigerian government have not done anything to address it. And it's still worrisome where the person that came to testify on behalf of Nigerian army said that on that fateful day, after our entreaty to Nigerian, to shite movement, to vacate the road, they failed. They have to shoot their way through. You got to ask yourself, is that how you govern? Is that how you treat your subjects? Is that how? Because I don't think it will happen in America. The recent issue that happened in America where an African, that flood was killed extrajudiciously. At the level of protest, we saw American citizens going to the government house, engaging the American Secret Service, pushing them. There was no shooting. There was no extrajudicial killing. That is a safe society. That is a place where they have respect for human life. They have respect for human dignity. But I tell you here, if that thing happened in Asu Rock, we would have had a mass burial. And these things are not healthy for our society. So what I'm saying is, whether going forward, whether this government or any government that is to come, we want to see a government that is determined to fight corruption, a government that will go all out to fight corruption, not a government that play lip service. Because all along we have been seeing governments upon government that play lip service with anti-corruption. Not just this government. I hold no brief for anybody. What I'm saying is, let the right thing be done. And if we continue in this manner, this democracy cannot grow, because democracy is built on rule of law. And okay, I will tell you another instance. Look at the drama that played when the power that be didn't want Onohe to continue as the Chief Justice of the Federation. We also saw how a civil liberty organization wrote a petition, and the Code of Conduct Bureau acted. At the end of the day, the Code of Conduct, the guy was being prosecuted at the level of Code of Conduct Tribunal, and he was fired. Now the question I'm asking is, does the issue of asset declaration start and end with Onohe? What happens to other Nigerians who have been occupying lofty positions, who perhaps refuse to declare their assets? I may concede to federal government that the man was found himself on the wrong side of the law. So I may concede to them. But what does it start and end with the man? What happens to other Nigerians, past governors, senators, House of Rep members, politicians who may have wrongfully acquired assets that is not rightly declared adequately? So what is happening to them? That same civil liberty organization that wrote petition against Onohe, have their pen dried up? Why is that they can no longer write against other people? So what I'm saying is, the anti-corruption must be holistic. And if the government have now waking up from its slumber and is determined to fight the corruption, let it do it headlong henceforth. Thank you very much.
It's not a surprise that in a ideal society, in a sense society, of course, it's much expected, where the rule of law and everybody is equal before the law. So interrogating Mr. Magu is not a surprise to me, on the basis that, of course, everybody is equal before the law. So if there are issues that he needs to clarify as far as his position is concerned, he should be called for. He should be answerable to such questions. It's not a surprise. It's not a new thing. So I don't see people making something out of that. It is a normal process. You can't be invited to give account. You should be held accountable for whatever position you occupy. But in this scenario, I don't see that being the reason why he was invited or he was quizzed by the DSS. Probably because he refused to do their biddings. You see, Mr. Mike said something. He said that he is expecting the Nigerian state, the federal government, to do the right thing. You see, you cannot do the right thing except the right people are there to execute the right thing. So I don't expect something much from this dispensation. Why? Because they are endemic corruption themselves. So they breach their activity, whatever they speak is centered on corruption. So you don't see them fighting against corruption because they themselves are an embodiment of corruption. Many instances, as Matthew have just listed. Of course, you heard about the pension fund by Malami. He embezzled over 100 billion of pensioners' entitlement, and he was let go. Of course, this judiciary has to charge him about 800,000 or 750,000 in order to bail him, in order to free him. Of course, and they have to share the money. It's about corruption. If you agree with the terms and conditions of their operation, they will let you go. But if not, you will be apprehended and be forced to do their bidding. That is what defines Nigerian system as far as this dispensation is concerned. So I don't see them fighting corruption anytime because, of course, he said that my name is Ejogu. Ejogu simply means equity. And anyone that goes to equity must go with clean hands. You can't fight corruption when you have so many records, you have been indicted. How could you tell me that Magu is of course, he was planted by his own people. So it's not a surprise. There's nothing like fighting corruption as far as Nigeria is concerned. Of course, the system could not allow anybody to fight corruption. Bring Donald Trump down to this place. Bring Netanyahu, Prime Minister of Israel, down to this place. Bring Prime Minister of Britain down to this place. He will also be trapped by this system because the system does not allow anybody to fight corruption. The system does not allow anybody to do the right thing because people that surrounds the corridor of power are product of corruption. Saying that Buhari is failing in the fight against corruption is an understatement. Buhari has failed woefully. Of course, he himself is not. Of course, he has been indicted several times. Of course, when he manned the PTF, he was the PTF chairman. Something happened. Over $2 billion got missing. Under his watch, he couldn't account for it. So how could such a man stand against corruption? And of course, you see, after the demise of the former chief of staff, Abba Kyari, okay, they wanted to prove his office after Malami now succeeded him. Of course, Gambari succeeded him. Just in few days, they have to sweep it under the carpet. Why? Because they knew that if they continue with this proving, they will also be indicted. Because they are also an accomplice. They are also part of the culprits. So, a part of the corrupt system. So, you cannot see any proving or investigation, succeeding or getting to the climax. Why? Because along the way, they will also have to throw it under the carpet because it will never come up with anything positive. And coming down to what Nnewodo or Ohaneze is saying about the position of Igbo race, saying that Igbo are co-owners of Nigeria. And it's quite laughable. How could such personality make such assertion? Of course, it is not a surprise being a co-owner of a company. But you also have the right to withdraw when the ovation becomes too high, when you are no more comfortable with the system, when the other party are not adhering to the terms of agreement. You have the right to pull out. That is the position of an average Igbo man. Nigeria has not benefited an Igbo man in every respect. Nigeria have failed us. Nigeria is not a place to be desired. That's why I will refer you to my over 6 months, my previous interview on this program on that respect. That why the agitation of Biafrans by the Igbos. You see, we need a nation where people, everyone will be respected. The citizen, the interests and aspiration of everyone should be respected. I have told Nigerian, the southern politicians, they should learn from what happened to Awolowo. They used Awolowo of great brain. You see, the northerners will never allow anybody from the south with high acumen, with intellectual prowess to govern them. Why? Because they cannot control such a person. They, of course, betrayed Awolowo. After using him, they had to dump him. He became a willing tool in the hand of the northerners. And they used him, they dumped him. MKO became a willing tool, and after using him, they have to dump him. They made several promises to him, and what happened last? Of course, they have to kill him. Awolowo never died a natural death. MKO never died a natural death. It was he became a victim of the conspiracy of the northern elites, northern politicians. And of course, I am also advising the Tinubu, the Jagaban of Lagos State. He should learn a leaf from what happened to his predecessors. And to every person, to every man agitating or clamoring for Igbo presidency 2023, I think he should be examined. Why? Because he's not in his right senses with the latest development within the country. How could you expect such to happen? The Northerners are not willing to let go, to leave the corridor of power. They will go at any length in order to frustrate other regions and uphold to power, because they understood the veracity, the importance of power. That with power you can control, that with power you can marginalize, and with power you can achieve whatever you want to achieve. And they will not allow the Southerners, especially in this configuration. So I am not advocating for the continuity of the Nigerian state. Why? Because we have failed. Nigeria have failed, and there is no other future for this country other to divide it. Anyone calling for one, what have you benefited being one as an entity? What have you benefited, and what does the future hold for you? Nothing. We are clueless, and we are not moving forward. Only trapped in the wheel and in the cog of course, that has become a cog in our wheel of progress, and we are not moving forward. The best option is to split this country. We should be returned to regional government, where every region should harness, manage, and run their resources and develop at their own pace. That is the only solution for this country. Otherwise, we remain wallowing in darkness and deception.
May you not be glorified. You know what is going on. You know how to adjust this. You know how to put this in right. Coming to the issue of Magu, I want this one to serve a lesson to everybody in the power, that nobody should arrogate power to himself. Now, if you're a government worker or government official, you don't wear government cap fully. You wear government cap halfway, so that when government want to take the cap away, they don't pull your hair together. So when the government want to take the cap away from your head, it will be easy for the cap to go, not your hair to go or your hair to cut off. That's what I want this lesson of Magu to teach every person, every person in the corridor of power. You understand what I'm saying? And in the book of Revelation 13 verse 10, the scripture said, he who sent others to captive must surely go to that captive. And he who kill with the sword will end up with the sword. This is what is happening to Magu now. But Magu should beware. You should learn from the past Efcc chairman, Rubadu. I'm telling you honestly, at the end, Magu will lost out. Whether he's probe or not, whether he's interrogated or not, at the end, he lost out in Nigeria, anything Nigerian game. Look at Rubadu. Are you hearing his mouth again? Nobody's hearing about mouth again. And Magu should remember that up to now, he have not been confirmed as a chairman. Then he see the acting, and as acting, anything can happen at any time. He can be flushed out at any time, at any moment. But he came out and arrogate power to himself, over much arrogation of power. He is power drunk. He stepped on so many people's toes, when he himself is not a saint. That's what I'm saying. In his position, where he is acting for, not as a chairman, nobody in that position will not do a silly mistake. So he should remember that the law is waiting for him also. Now, there's a smoke, and there will not be any smoke without the fire. There's something fishing under. that brought about interrogation or detention or arresting. And that fire had been kindling small from ages. And now the fire is coming out. If cars not take it, it will be a wildfire. You understand? Magu entered there, not confirmed, but the force of the president's executive power is still acting. Almost 6 years now, under acting. And now government, the same power that put him there, have remembered that it's not right. The government, the president himself or the government itself is corrupt. Look at His Excellency, or let me put it like that. The President Buhari was chairman, was a petroleum minister during Obasanjo regime. In his own regime, $2.5 billion miss. No, 2.5 billion naira miss. When dollar was 75 kobo to $1, you know the value of naira at that time. Miss from his office. Up to today, no accountability. He was PTF chairman. Up to today, no accountability. Buhari, Okuta panel invited him, Obasanjo regime. He refused to come. Now, he is the current minister of petroleum. When he traveled out for medical checkup to treat himself, he spent over 100 and something days and returned back. $25 billion lost from NNPC account. When Kachuku was the director general or something, group manager, group director or so, that money lost up to today, nobody found it out. They don't sweep it under the carpet. You get what I'm saying? Is he clean man? Is he innocent? No. When he took over from Shagari, he overthrew Shagari in 1984, 31st of December, 1984, 1983, and resumed 1st of January, 1984. His boys went to Awolowo house, I think at Ikoyi, and break Awolowo house, and carry the whole documents Awolowo keep to persecute him. If he become a president of Nigeria in 1979, they went there and took the documents and burned them off. Is it a clean man? He himself is corrupt. Remember, when they said they probe Abba Kyari after the exit of Abba Kyari, I still talk that if they want to probe Abba Kyari, he himself to get ready to expose himself. That area died off. Is he himself sent? All the whole loan have been collecting. Where have you taken it? Where are those loans? Can the president, the regime come and give us account of the whole loan they are collecting? Is it clean, man? The oil, crude oil they are exporting and importing. Is there any clean record there? What of gas? We are talking of oil. They will export crude oil and bring us only petrol. What of the other amenities under it? Where are they going? What of gas? We are exporting gas, liquefied gas. Do they give us any account of it? So what I'm trying to say, the system is corrupt. Everybody is corrupt. But whenever they want to make you an scapegoat, they make you an scapegoat. And the Magu, they make him an scapegoat now. They should make him an scapegoat because most of the National Assembly members don't like him, and he's stepping under their toes. And now he refused to. Maybe the government have the power in Aso Rock have want him to adjust to certain things. He said, "No, I'm not adjusting. It's okay. We show that we are the power that put you there. We don't have to raise people up. We don't have to bring people down. You have to say something in your cupboard, which automatically has the skeleton. You cannot deny it." So now coming to Nnewodo, it's a very shameful thing. To that elderly man, a well-read man, learned man, don't know what it means. We are co. We are co. You are joined. You are not the owner. Let me tell you, you are joined. You are not the owner. That man, that Mr. Nnewodo. This is what one of my late uncle said, that passing sees is not passing says. Naturally, he don't have acute by saying Igbos are co-owners of Nigeria. If Igbos are co-owners of Nigeria, why are we struggling for Biafra? Why are we fighting for Biafra to have our own nation if we are the co-owner of Nigeria? Now, the Biafra have their own currency. Biafra have their own national anthem. Biafra have their own coat of arms. Biafra have their own flag. Biafra have their own seat. Even now, in a certain nation, you are telling me that we are called Nigerian. Eh? You are called Nigerian when they will treat you as a madman. We are called Nigeria. We are the co-owners of Nigeria. Now they have developed Lagos. They developed Abuja. Where have they developed in East? How many federal roads in East? How many federal roads in East that federal government have tied? In Enugu State, how many federal presidents, how many federal roads in Enugu State have been tied? Eh? From how many ports in Southeast, South have developed? How many federal airports there? I want to ask you, from Port Harcourt Federal Road to Enugu, have been motorable? From Onitsha to Enugu, have been motorable? From Benin to Onitsha, Head Bridge, Asaba Road, have been motorable? Let me ask you, from Ijoma Road, Omaya Road, is it motorable? Is it not federal road? Are you sleeping? Are you drunk? Do you know what you are saying? Call Nigeria. It's a pity. Call Nigeria. Operation Patton dance. How many times in East? How many times in the North? Call Nigerian. We are called Nigerian. Let me ask you. Okay, I can understand. You are a product of Zik. You are a product of Zik. Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, who betrayed his family. Look, you are a traitor. You are a betrayer. You speak with double tongues. Are you not ashamed? The Ohanese, you are the chairman, general president. Ohanese from 1976 you have inaugurated. It's not registered. And you call yourself a wise man. Bring me the certificate that registered Ohanese. Ndigbo. Bring the certificate. But Mianti Allah is registered. And they have right to be walking up and down to kill. And you are still called Nigeria. They will carry animal, come to your place and kill you and kill your wife, rape your children. You are called Nigeria. You cannot do anything. Are you not ashamed? Also Dimba of Imo State. You are walking up and down. Are you not ashamed? You are a disgrace to democracy. You are a disgrace to also Dimba of Imo State. Call yourself Usodimma. You are also Dimba, not Usodimma. You are a disgrace to democracy all over the world. Fourth person who don't win election become a governor. And now you kick against it. Now they are pali with also Dimba. You people are ashamed. You people will end up in pitch, in death at the end.
And on this note, we say goodbye to you on today's edition of Bystanders at Newsstands. Of course, we have had a lot of views from our reviewers here. Very brilliant ideas from you guys. Thank you so much. All right, viewers across the globe, Michael Adekunle remains my name. Of course, you know, the man that is always behind the camera is Festus Oluwabukumi. And joining us today, Femi, also behind the camera, Christian behind the camera, and Mike behind the camera. All right, everybody, bye.